in my perception, younger people today, in their 20s especially, have exactly what you're describing. So it used to be like in the 1950s, men were men, women were women, and then in the 60s and 70s, people became more balanced and equality. But now, my perception, and many others too, are that women are really ahead of men. It's not always, it's a seesaw. It's not going to be permanent. But in general, right now, women are ahead of men. Women are going to be heads of state, political leaders. I mean, they're not as much as men yet, but they will be. And it's all moving in that direction. Now, the cutting edge of that in cultures that aren't being bombed to death, so there's some leisure time so people can grow in those ways. Women have grown faster than men, and I'd hate to say this, but there are more conscious women than men, and the chances of finding a man as conscious as you are diminishing rapidly. The younger you are, the less men you're going to ever find as conscious as you. You could probably find a few old school guys who know their ass from a head in the ground, but most people, I mean, you go to Burning Man, you just take some MDMA. Unearned consciousness is valueless. So, the one thing I want to say is, you're right, that thanks to women's liberation and everything else, women have sprung ahead of men. Welcome to loneliness. I mean, I don't know what you expected. You are now in general, the superior. It's just going to be hard to find a man who's a better man than you are. I'm serious. So, but I don't want to stop there. I want to keep going, but I just want to point out that that's the way it is socially now. There are very few women I know in their 20s who could find men anywhere near their age who earns more money than them, is smarter than them, who's more clear than them, who has more purpose than them. Women, raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. I'm just curious. Okay. So now, I don't think that's a good or bad thing. I mean, when you think back to the 50s and 60s, women were sitting at home having Tupperware parties all day, and men were out busting ass. I don't know, these are objective things. I don't know if you know this, but like boys and girls in school have to take tests, standardized tests. So those standardized tests, they have objective measurements every year. I mean, who knows what they measure, but they're numbers that you could look at every year. It used to be that boys always outscored girls on everything. Sometimes the girls got a little higher on the verbal, but never on the math. So people were thinking, well, how can we get girls to get smart? Like, why can't girls score good on these scores? Oh, it must be social. We must be giving girls dolls instead of rulers or something. I don't know what. But just so you know, in the last 7 years, boys' scores in the United States have been precipitously dropping, and girls' scores have been going up. Boys always score less than girls now. Just in 5 years, in math too, girls have exceeded boys in the same exact test. No change in the text, no change in teaching. Women have become smarter than men. I don't know how or why, we don't have to examine it, but just know you are now, unfortunately for sexual reasons, but fortunately for the world's sake, not going to be able to find many men who can meet you. However, they are out there.